Joining us tonight, the president's point man on the economy, Kevin Hassett. He's the chair of the President's Council of Economic Advisors, which has just released its annual economic report. That seems so long ago, Kevin.
Yeah.
Good to see you, and thanks for being with us tonight. We're looking at, what, $9 trillion added to the stock market since the president was elected? $9 trillion. And we're watching Democrats in Congress passing resolutions, debating nonsense, and trying to harass the president in any way they can. This is an extraordinary economy. He is already a historic president based on his economic achievements alone.
Right. Well, wealth is hitting all-time highs. Unemployment is hitting all-time lows. You know, gosh, it's almost every state in the country has hit an all-time low for unemployment. Wages are growing fast, especially for people at the bottom. 6.5% for the bottom, 10% of the wage distribution. And so everywhere you look, the policies are actually delivering for the American people. And so, you know, I think that there's a lot more work to do. When I look at the numbers, I agree with the president when he says, yeah, this is one of the best economies I've ever seen. The only thing that comes close to me in my mind is, you remember during the dot-com boom in the late 90s, we had a number of years in a row where things started to look this good. But the funny thing about the president...
You can mention the word. President Clinton was in office at that point.
Of course, I'm not making a political point. I'm making a data point.
Well, I'm making a political point.
I see. Yeah, you're Luke. That's right. But the thing I was going to say, though, is that the president, as great as the numbers are, the thing that I like best about working with him is he's totally not satisfied. And so, you know, we were meeting with him today and yesterday, and he was just basically, well, what do we do to go up from here? You know, I mean, this is great, but let's go up from here. What else can we do? I mean, he absolutely is pursuing with an enormous amount of energy the business of the American people to make this the best economy ever.
He has a nation to lead and to move toward it's his vision of our future and indeed the nation's vision, which is becoming brighter, it seems, with every passing day. I have to make another political point, because as we sit here, I mean, people don't realize it hasn't been 2.5 years since the president took office. Let's hear what Paul Krugman, Nobel Prize-winning economist. Now, you haven't got one of those, but Paul Krugman does. This will show you just how screwed up the Nobel folks are. As he said after the president's election, now comes the mother of all adverse effects, and what it brings with it is a regime that will be ignorant of economic policy and hostile to any effort to make it work. So we are very probably looking at a global recession with no end in sight. Have you ever gotten an apology, by the way, from the Nobel Prize-winning economist?
No, and as you know, that I mentioned quite a bit in this column, and not very favorably. You know, I won't express an opinion about him as a person. I can say that his early work that he got the Nobel Prize for was, you know, in top journals, and it was worthy of praise. But now he's become a pundit, and kind of an angry one, that says things that aren't necessarily based on the science that he used to push so aggressively. And I don't think that
one of the nicest guys, Kevin. You are so
but
nice.
Honestly, but that point about, like,
he's an absolute jerk.
Sure. The point is, though, that there was no analysis to support the idea that we're about to have a permanent recession after President Trump was elected. In fact, the analysis that we put out said the opposite. And I know that Mr. Krugman and Professor Summers and a bunch of people disagreed with us, but now the proof is in the pudding. The numbers are really strong, and guess what? There's GDP coming out this week. The consensus is that it's going to be about 3% again, right? And everybody told you that you were falling off a cliff at the beginning of the year. And that number, by the way, Lou, don't forget, you got to add 0.3, because it's going to be artificially low because of that government shutdown. And so if it comes in at 2.8, the real number is 3.1. So the point is that we're continuing to grow at 3%. And that 3% number is something that guys like Professor Krugman said that's just impossible.
Well, guys like Krugman are not in short supply on the left of the spectrum politically. What is, by the way, there's another few tenths of a percent to be had in economic growth. As soon as the president balances trade, that will add, well, over time, trillions of dollars to our economy, will it not?
Yeah, and indeed, the thing you guys were covering in the conversation right before I came on, all the latest happenings in trade. And I got to say that I was sort of briefed on those today, and you guys nailed it. So you spoke to the right person. I mean, that's exactly what's going on. Where we've got lots of progress moving forward. That there's talk about setting up the next round of meetings with the Chinese. We're meeting with the Japanese this week. And you're right that there's, some hiccups with the Europeans. But the fact is that the ITC, the International Trade Commission, came out with a report that could have really trashed, the president's new deal with Canada and Mexico. But it said that the positive impact of that deal is bigger than their estimate of the positive impact of every previous trade deal all the way back to 1984. And so President Trump just made the best trade deal ever, by the ITC's own analysis. And I think that that's actually something that when I go back, when President Trump asked me to take this job, I read The Art of the Deal, and I actually saw how he makes great deals, and I'm seeing it now in his interactions with the other countries, that he really is delivering historic great deals.
Historic great deals, and as we've discussed before here, his insistence on balancing global trade is
making it more reciprocal.
Ushering in a new era of prosperity, not only for America, most importantly, of course, but for indeed the rest of the world. And mercantilism is going to die very quickly in China and in Europe. Angela Merkel may not believe it, but it will. Right?
That's right. Yeah, because President Trump wasn't bluffing, that if people didn't make their deals reciprocal, then he was going to impose very stiff tariffs on them, as we have with the Chinese.
Kevin Hassett, it's always good to talk to you because the news is so good. I appreciate it. And you're such a nice guy.
Cut it out. Well,
Paul Krugman should, I don't know. I don't know what he should do. Perhaps calm down and give credit where credit's due. Kevin Hassett, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Lou. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.